Hello, I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid. Thank you for joining us today at the Roundtable. Well, recently in the news, you've heard about these drones flying around, maybe in places where they shouldn't be. And you heard that about drones showing up on the East Coast around some airports. And then right here in Enid, Oklahoma, some unmanned aircraft systems, if you will, flying around. And so we have a special guest today at the Roundtable, Colonel Ryan Aerni from Vance Air Force Base. Colonel,
Steve,
welcome.
Sir.
Thanks for being here today. Appreciate your time because I know you guys are busy folks. Colonel, before we start about talking about drones and quadcopters and all these fancy names, I just see it as something up there in the air. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Before we started taping, you said this is your second time.
Yeah.
So welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah, I can remember the first time I was here, there was a big blue billboard with white letters and it said, "Train hard, serve well, return soon." And I'm like, there's no way I'm ever coming back. But we all come back. So,
yeah,
and I don't think I've ever seen a base in a community that are so, that complement each other so well and have so much support.
There's a special mesh there, isn't it?
I'm 20 years in the Air Force, and I don't think there's another community that embraces a base as well as Enid does. So,
well, I know from the community, but also from the City of Enid government perspective, we've always enjoyed the relationship that we have with Colonel Judy and Colonel Clark Quinn in the past, and other individuals. They're here for a couple of years, then they leave us. We hate to see them all go, but we realize that's the way it is. But we've always enjoyed that relationship, and everybody's been accessible, and we've appreciated that. So, sure. Well, also before we got going, we started talking about a little bit of football and being born and raised in Oklahoma, but you're from that foreign country up north called Nebraska. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, if you will.
Well, I mean, I grew up on a farm in southwestern Nebraska, so spent 18 years there, and just remember Nebraska, Oklahoma around Thanksgiving every year. I can remember we stopped picking corn, to go watch the game, so I knew it was a big deal. So anyway.
Well, we didn't stop to pick corn at my house. We just stopped doing something, but it was a big game, and we always enjoyed that. Well, Colonel, just appreciate your time today, and we want to talk a little bit again about this unmanned aircraft system. Here in Enid, Oklahoma, and a couple of weeks ago, there was an incident, and maybe two incidents, I'm not sure, that during night flying operations, someone noticed a drone up in the air that was way too close to Vance, to the runway, to planes and so forth. Kind of fill us in on really what took place in that incident, what you know about it.
Well, I know is a night flying week, so we're doing a lot of night flying that week. Every 3 weeks, approximately, we'll do night flying, and one of our security forces members spotted a drone that was flying across the north side of Vance, and we had aircraft airborne at the time, and especially during the night, visibility is hard to see things,
And I haven't seen, I haven't seen a drone at night, but I guess there's lights. I mean, if the gentleman is able to see up in the sky that there's a drone, there undoubtedly is some type of light associated with it.
I'm not exactly sure what our security forces members saw it, so good on them, because every day, we have all sorts of aircraft flying over, and it kind of gets, to me, it kind of gets commonplace to hear the buzz and the of T-6s overhead or the T-38s or the T-1s. I mean, it's just a bustle of activity that you kind of become desensitized to. So the fact that security forces were able to both times spot these drones, good on them for keeping their eyes above the horizon.
They're definitely doing their job.
But as far as lighting, I don't know what requirements there are for them to be lit. Maybe a red dot from a camera or something that they saw, or how they were able to spot it. But
can you tell us? The FAA has jurisdiction, or they have say-so on these unmanned aircraft systems.
Right.
I guess you've got to notify. I guess my question is, what rules are they? If I've got a drone, I probably ought to be letting somebody know. Even if I'm not flying near an airport, I need to let somebody know that I've got this thing.
Right. Well, for as far as the FAA is concerned, 5 nautical miles from Vance Air Force Base, because that may be coincident with the towered controlled airspace. Towers control airspaces 5 nautical miles out.
And that leads to my question: what's so special about 5? So it may
Right.
be tied to that.
So
Okay.
I mean that could be the reason for the 5 miles, but simply you really can't have these quadcopters mixing with other aircraft, especially at Vance, because we have students in one seat who are civilians off the street. We're trying to teach them how to fly. So I think instructors need to be focusing on the student, and not have to be worried about what other unauthorized
Sure.
aircraft are out
Sure.
there. But having some sterile airspace to operate is kind of expected, minus maybe a bird activity or something like
Sure.
that. But
Let's shift gears for a little bit. Let's go back to you for a moment. Tell us a little bit. You said you were here 2001 to 2004.
yes, sir.
Okay, and now you're back again. But tell us about back in early 2000. What was your role here at Vance, and then tell us what your role is here today.
I was a brand new captain and just flying the T1. I know I don't remember doing much of anything else. Just flying almost every day. It was for about 2.5, 3 years. I flew the T1 and
So before you arrived at Vance, where were you at?
I flew KC-10s at McGuire, which is
Okay.
a big tanker.
So you've been
aircraft.
flying before.
Mhm.
Okay.
Tankers, and then flew the T1, and after that I went back to the heavy jets and flew C5s out of California at Travis. But and flying big aircraft, especially in Afghanistan and Iraq, we have near misses with unmanned aerial systems there as well. But it's a very structured plan, and there's deconflictions that are put into place, and everybody is talking to somebody. Here, having a UAS pop up out of the middle of nowhere and that you're not in communication with could be pretty hazardous.
So, Colonel Aerni, tell us about your role today. You're back in Enid, Oklahoma.
Right,
You're back
I'm,
at Vance.
I'm a Deputy Operations Group Commander, so Colonel Johnson's the group commander, works under Colonel Judy, our wing commander. So I support Colonel Johnson
Okay.
as his deputy with operations at Vance Air Force Base.
Well, we certainly welcome you back to Enid, and we appreciate you coming by ETN Studios today. Since you have that pilot background, let's go back to the drone here for a little bit. To me, a lay person would say, yeah, if the drone was up in the air, okay, there's a good chance of some type of a crash or something. But as a pilot, what else could go wrong? If you spotted that, quadcopter or the drone, whatever you want to call it, I guess it could, go into an engine? Could it hit a windshield? I mean, from a pilot's perspective.
All the above. I mean,
Okay.
The most concerning thing is around Vance Air Force Base, aircraft are already close to the ground anyway. So our T6s and our T-38s have ejection seats, so that's kind of a get out of jail free card, if you will. But T1 doesn't have the white T-tail jets. They don't have that sort of capability. So it's just usually you'll see drones close to the ground, and that's doesn't give you a lot of room for air to handle a situation if you were to strike something like that.
I'm just curious, if I'm out at Meadow Lake Golf Course and the jet's coming in for landing, how high is that jet?
About 600 feet.
600 feet, okay. I've seen a few come across the fairway from time to time, and I've often wondered what that distance was. Requesting to fly inside 5 miles of Vance Air Force Base, Colonel, the Public Affairs Office has a number of 580-213-7820. And that, again, is the request to fly inside that 5 miles. Is it does it take a lot of effort to get this permission, or what is the steps? If somebody's watching this interview and they say, well, the Colonel said call 580-213-7820, so I'm going to call them up. What steps do they go through to get this permission?
Our public affairs will put you in charge, in touch with our
Okay.
airspace folks.
Okay.
We'll we'll help you deconflict whatever it is you want to do with our flying. So there's not much flying on the weekends. I know we have 4 commercial UAS operators already that have contacted us and have authorization to fly within our airspace, but it has to be deconflicted.
I see. Now, you shared with me an email address earlier, and get out a long piece of paper and make sure your ink pen is full of ink.
It's vance.drone.uas.request@us.af.mil, MIL. Anyway.
Okay, told you it was a long one. So.
It's a long one, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Is there a map, or if somebody's watching the show, Colonel, today, and they go, man, this is a fascinating subject. I didn't know all this stuff was going on. Or maybe they were out of town and they weren't aware of the incident of the 2 drones in the airspace, if you will. Is there a website to go to, or is there a map that's out there that people say, well, I wonder what this 5-mile radius kind of looks like? Are you aware of any such thing?
It's on aviation charts. It's published.
Okay.
What Class D airspace is what it's called, the airspace around a tower. So it is. I mean, it's easy to see from within the aviation community, but
Okay.
as far as the civilian community, that's just look at where the tower's at and count 5 miles out in a circle from that. But
speaking of towers, and forgive me for putting you on the spot, and you can hold me accountable forever for putting you on the spot, but I had a gentleman the other day that lives in the Enid area, and he said, next time you get a chance, Steve, to visit with the pilot, why don't you ask him this question? And it had to do with the wind turbines in the area. Oklahoma continues to develop its wind farms, if you will. And again, from a pilot's perspective, I guess you're aware of where the wind farms are.
oh yeah.
And is that a concern, or people in California fly around these turbines all the time? No big deal.
No, it's a concern. It's not only a concern to Vance, but quite a few military bases across the country.
I don't know exactly how high some of these turbines are.
They're pretty high.
Okay.
So they're the tops of them are or the top of the blade is about 500 feet. So we have to climb 500 feet above that over them if we're doing low level training. But it's I think there's a way that we can work with industry to mitigate the effects that it has on our low level routes and our weather radar. But it's definitely a concern for us.
When I'm listening to our conversation, it's definitely the signs of the times. We're talking about drones, and we're talking about wind turbines.
Right.
And I guess in 2001, that really wasn't a topic when you're trying to fly. What'd you say, T1? Is that what it was?
Right. I don't remember having an iPhone or a smartphone or anything. I remember doing a lot of flying.
Now, you don't text and fly, do you?
No.
That was the other question the guy wanted to know.
Yeah, no.
No.
Well, in the big aircraft, you can through the jet's computers and stuff like that. You can text back to whoever you need to send a text to. But
order a pizza, whatever.
No, yeah, right. But no, there's a. I tell you what, when you're flying with students, your focus is on them.
Sure. My special guest today at the Roundtable is Colonel Ryan Aerni. Home, Nebraska, came all the way to Enid, 2001, 2004, went around the world a couple times, decided to come back, and he's with us again today. I've got one more question for you,
yes, sir.
Colonel, and it's in regard to just speaking to the public, if you will, in regards to unmanned aircraft systems. That's a mouthful. I just kind of like to say drones. But there's drones, there's modeled aircraft. We hadn't even talked about the modeled aircraft that people can play with, and then these quadcopters, if you will. But from your leadership role at Vance, what would you say to the public about all these unmanned things? You know, we want everybody to be safe, but what would you suggest? What's the recommendations?
If you want to fly them, hey, go ahead and give us a call. At the at Public Affairs, we're definitely not against flying your drones or your quadcopters around Vance. We just wanted to make sure it's done in a safe manner to protect our pilots and our aircraft. And additionally, we need your help too. keep your eyes above the horizon, and I know we get complacent with the aircraft that are flying overhead all the time, but if you see something up there that probably shouldn't be up there, go ahead and contact Enid PD or if you're on base, security forces, and let us investigate that.
Okay, one more time, Colonel, that email address.
It's here we go. It's vance.drone.uas.request@us.af.mil.
And then the phone number to call in the Public Affairs Office is 580-213-7820. And if our time together has not made any sense whatsoever, I'll take full responsibility, but at least we have a way out. Call 580-213-7820, and they will answer your questions and your request and probably direct you to where there is a map for that no-fly zone. Anything else, Colonel? Just appreciate you being here.
Steve, on behalf of Vance Air Force Base and Colonel Judy, our wing commander, thanks for inviting us and letting us come on here and talk with you. So I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. And as Colonel Judy knows, he's welcome and everybody is welcome. We just appreciate the partnership, and we feel like this is one vehicle, one avenue that we can communicate with the Enid community and what's going on at Vance, because sometimes a lot of people just sit back and go, I know they fly planes, but what else do they do out there? So
right.
We appreciate that. Well, thank you for your service to our
sir.
great country. Appreciate you being here today.
For your support, appreciate it.
You bet. And thank you for joining us today here at the Roundtable. Again, our special guest from Vance Air Force Base, Colonel Ryan Aerni. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to the next time. We'll have another special guest right here at the Roundtable. Until next time, I'm Steve Kime. Make it a great day.